Lesson 6.2, Substitution. I'm going to show you the substitution method of solving a systems of equation. Substitution is when you replace one variable with something else, whether it be a number, a variable, or an expression. So if you look at example number 1, in the beginning, you notice that it says x equals. Okay? X equals 4y. So anywhere there's an x in the other problem, I can put 4y and replace that value. So it will look like this. The 4 is still there, but instead of there being an x behind it, there's going to be a 4y behind this. The reason I did this is now I have the same variable in the entire equation. I have a 4y in the parentheses and a y later on. If they're the same variable, I can solve for the one variable. When I have two variables, x and y, I can't do it by itself. So I'm going to apply my skills at solving equations. First up, 4 times 4 is going to make 16y. And then I'm going to combine like terms. 16 minus 1y will make 15y. And then the last step here, divide by 15, and you'll find out that y equals 5. Now that's not the end of the problem. You need to now take the 5 that you got for y, go back to the beginning and substitute it in for y so that you have the value for x. So x is going to equal 4 times 5 because 5 replaces the y. So x equals 20. Now your final answer will be the ordered pair. X coming first, 20, comma 5. Remember to always put the answer for the one that is alphabetically first. X comes first before y, so 20 has to go first. Pause now before we go on to number 2. Example number 2. We says in the beginning, y equals 6x. So anywhere you see a y, replace it with a 6x. So 2x plus 3. The y has now been replaced with 6x equals negative 20. At this point, you only have x's in the new equation, so solve for x. 3 times 6 will make 18x. Notice you have an 18x and a 2x next to each other. Combine like terms. That's going to make 20x. One final step. Divide by 20. And x equals negative 1. But don't stop there. Take your negative 1 back to the beginning and plug it in for x. This will give you y equals 6 times negative 1. And 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So don't forget to write your answers in order pair. Negative 1, negative 6. Pause here before we go on to number 3. Number 3. If you'd like to do this one by yourself first, pause before I start. In the beginning, we have y equals 2x plus 6. So you need to take the 2x plus 6, drop it down where the y is. So 2x minus the quantity, because it's not just 2x being put in there, it's 2x plus 6. There's two parts to that. That's why you need parentheses. Now, if you remember, y was being subtracted, just like it's being subtracted now. So not only is the 2x being subtracted, but the 6 will also become a minus because it needs to be subtracted, because it's part of what y is. Once you do that, you can combine like terms. A negative 2 and a positive 2 equal 0. So they're gone. The only thing that remains is a negative 6 equals 2. But negative 6 doesn't equal 2. So the answer to this system is no solution. Now, if for example, the answer had came out to be negative 6 equals negative 6, that would have been the same numbers. So if this happens, your answer would be infinitely many. So if the two numbers are equal to each other, it's infinitely many. If the two numbers are different, you write no solution. Pause here before number 4. Number 4. If you'd like to try this one, go ahead. This one is difficult for some people because they notice in the very beginning that both equations are equal to x. Now that shouldn't be a reason for concern. Instead, you need to realize that if x equals both 2y minus 2 and y plus 2, then those two terms are equal to each other. So 2y minus 2 is equal to y plus 2. Since both parts are equal to x, and x is the same as x, that means both of them are equal to each other, and that's why there's an equal sign between them. So once you set this up, you can solve it. There's no like terms on the same side. Instead, you've got a variable y on two different sides. So I always subtract the smaller, which in this case is going to be a single y. 2y minus y will give me 1y, or just y, minus 2 equals 2. And then add 2. And you find out that y equals 4. Again, don't stop there. Take that 4 and plug it back in. But wait, which one do you plug it into? It doesn't matter. Plug it into the one you think is easier to do. I think it's easy just to add 2, so I'm going to use the second one. X equals 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is? That's right, 6. So x equals 6, y equals 4, so we write our answer 6, 4. Go ahead and pause before we do the next one. Number 5. If you'd like to attempt, you should pause here. Before attempting this one, you should notice that there's no x equals or y equals in the beginning of the problem. So you have to decide, am I going to substitute for x or y or x? The variable that you're looking for substitution is the one that doesn't have a number in front, making the coefficient 1. So that y is going to be the one I substitute in the second equation. But before I can do that, I need to make it y equals, not y minus 3x. To do that, the 3x has to go to the other side. And since it's minus 3x, I'll add 3x to both sides. When I do that, I'll discover that y equals 3x minus 13. Now that's the part that you take, the 3x minus 13, and you plug it in for y. It goes directly behind the 5. So the 4x plus 5 is still there, equals 11, but instead of a y, I'm going to put a 3x minus 13. So if you think you can finish it, you should pause now. Now to keep going, 5 times 3, the little distributive property here, makes 15x. 5 times negative 13 will make negative 65. If we combine some like terms, 15 and 4 will make 19x. Add 65 to both sides. $19x equals 76. Divide by 19x equals 4. Now, let's not forget, you're not done. Take that 4, go back and plug it in for x. So y equals 3, not x, 3 times 4 minus 13. And 3 times 4 we know is 12. 12 minus 13, negative 1. So your final answer is 4, negative 1. Pause here before we go on to the next one. Number 6. Pause if you'd like to attempt this on your own. All right, the variable that you need to solve for is x. Okay? In order to get that to be x equals, though, I'm going to have to move the negative 3y over. So if I add 3y, I'll get x equals 3y minus 9. Now that part is what needs to go in for x behind the 5. So 5, and then parentheses, 3y minus 9 minus 2y equals 7. Do some distributive property. 15y minus 45 minus 2y equals 7. Because you got to do 3 times 5 and 5 times 9. Combine the like terms. 15y minus 2y. That's 13y. Minus 45 comes down, equals 7. Add 45 to both sides. 13y equals 52. Divide by 13. Y equals 4. But don't stop there. Take that 4, go back and plug it in for y. X equals 3 times 4 minus 9. 3 times 4 makes 12, minus 9 makes 3. So now you have your two answers, 3, 4. I hope that was helpful. I'm up to almost 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop here. If you have any other questions, please let me know.